Hello and welcome to Basics for Gamers presents the Basics of Starfinder Combat Part 2, Delay and Ready in Action. In Part 1 of this series, we discussed how combat is structured in a series of rounds, and that the initiative order dictates when a character is allowed to act during each round. In this video, we're going to continue the discussion of rounds and initiative by looking at two ways where a character can actually change their place in the initiative order. In Part 3 of this series, we will discuss the actions a player can take when it is their turn. The first is known as delaying. At the start of a player's turn, if they don't know what it is they want to do, or if they believe it would be better if one of their allies went before them, then that player may choose to delay their action. When a player delays, they essentially step aside as far as initiative is concerned and allow others to pass them. After each other character finishes their turn, the delaying player may announce that they're done waiting and they wish to jump back into initiative order there. At that time, they take their entire turn with a standard move and swift action, and from that point forward for the rest of the encounter, that character uses their new initiative score. Essentially what this means is at the start of every turn, a player can voluntarily lower their initiative score to anything they want, but they have to live with that new lower score for the rest of the combat. So, for example, Navasi and Obo are fighting some void zombies. Navasi's initiative score is 17, the zombies act on initiative 13, 11, and 10, and Obo is last in the initiative order with a 9. Navasi is hiding and the zombies have not detected her. She's worried that if she opens fire at the start of the turn, she might be overrun by zombies and would really rather have her big tanky friend Obo out in the middle of the fight before she reveals herself. So on the start of her turn, Navasi announces that she is delaying. The zombies then take their turns and attack Obo. After each of the zombie turns, Navasi could announce that she's done delaying and wants to jump back into the fight, but she decides not to and instead lets the zombies take all of their turns and then lets Obo take hers as well. At this point, Navasi announces she is done delaying and jumps back into initiative order. She gets to take her full turn. She gets to take a standard, move, and swift action, and her new initiative score is 8, right behind Obo. And she'll stay at initiative 8 for the remainder of the encounter unless she decides to delay again or take a readied action. Two last things to note about delaying is this does not consume any actions that turn. Sometimes people refer to delaying as, quote, taking a delaying action, but just remember, you don't spend any of your actions to delay. Also, in the case where you may have taken a reaction on the turn prior to delaying, you get your reaction back at your original initiative score when you first announce that you are delaying. So you don't have to wait until you jump back into the initiative order and stop delaying to get that reaction back. This way, if something happens between the start of your delay and when you finish delaying, for example, if an enemy provokes an attack of opportunity during that time, you will have your reaction back and can use it. So Navasi was able to change her initiative score from 17 to 8 by delaying, but there is another method she could use to make sure she doesn't open fire until after Obo's turn, and that's called readying an action. When you ready an action, you are essentially saying that you want to take a single action later in the round during another character's turn. At the start of your turn, you announce a single action that you wish to take and also state a conditional trigger for that action. Essentially, you're saying if X happens, then Y. Your standard action is being prepared and held until later, but you may take your move and your swift actions immediately if you wish. You may not use your move and swift actions later when the trigger occurs, only the single action that you prepared. If the trigger occurs before the end of the round, then you immediately respond with the action that you readied. If you prepared a fully defensive action, then your readied action interrupts the triggering condition and takes place before it is resolved. And if your readied action is not defensive, then it is resolved after the trigger occurs. So, for example, if your readied action is, I'm going to dive behind the wall if the Aslanti soldier shoots at me, you get to dive behind the wall and get benefits for being in cover before the attack roll and the damage roll of that attack are resolved. Either way, just like with delaying, your place in the initiative order is moved to the new initiative score for the remainder of the encounter. So let's look at an example. Isef and Altronus are playing Spaceball. Altronus is behind home plate wielding a space bat, and Isef is on the mound. Altronus is first in the initiative with a score of 15, and Isef is second with a score of 11. It's Altronus' turn. He thinks Isef is going to throw the space ball at him, and he wants to hit the space ball with his space bat. But he can't take that action right now on his turn because there's no space ball within range for him to strike. So he decides to take a readied action. He announces that if a space ball comes within reach of his space bat, he will strike it. This costs his standard action that turn even if the trigger is not met, but he can still take his move and swift actions now if he wishes. He decides not to move from home plate and instead stares Isef down. On Isef's turn, it throws the ball at Altronus, which triggers his readied action and allows Altronus to swing his space bat and knock it into the stands. He was able to act even though it is technically Isef's turn, and as a result, Altronus' initiative score is now changed to 10 immediately behind Isef for the remainder of the encounter. And if Isef had decided not to throw the space ball at Altronus, the triggering condition would not have been met, and Altronus would effectively have lost his standard action for that round. The readied action and the trigger cease at the end of the current round and do not persist into the start of the next round. Other times when you might want to use a readied action might include when you know an enemy has a grenade. You could say, I'm taking a readied action. If an enemy throws a grenade at me, I'm going to catch it and throw it back at them. Or if you suspect reinforcements are coming, you could say, I'm readying an action. If an Aslanti soldier comes around that corner, I open fire at it. There are two ways a character can adjust their placement in the initiative order. The first is by delaying their action. When a character delays, they voluntarily lower their initiative score to anything that they want, as long as it's lower than their current initiative score. And then for the remainder of the encounter, they act on that score. The second is by readying an action. When a character readies an action, they spend their standard action and declare a single standard move or swift action that they want to occur later in the same round, but only if a triggering action occurs. For example, you could say, I'm going to ready an action. If an enemy steps away from their cover, I shoot it. You're not taking the shot immediately during your turn. Instead, you're preparing yourself and readying yourself to take that action on the enemy's turn, but only if the enemy steps away from cover first. With that, we'll bring this video to a close. If you found this video helpful, please give us a like, and don't forget to click that subscribe button and bell so you don't miss out on our future videos. Leave us a comment letting us know what topics you would like to see us cover in the future, and we can always be reached through our Twitter and Facebook pages too. If you would like to use some of the maps that we feature in our videos with your own games, you can find them at Maps of Mastery and 0 Hour. Links to those sites may be found in the description. Thanks for watching, take care, and we'll see you soon with more basics for your favorite tabletop games.